Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. I'm Brian Kellenberger, Director of Beach Operations. Welcome to the 2019 preseason beach vendor meeting. Appreciate everybody's attendance. A few things before we get started. If you have cell phones or other communication devices, appreciate if you put them on vibrate or silence them. If you have to take a phone call or have discussion with your neighbor, you can go outside. At the end of the meeting, we'll have some open discussion. Please respect everybody's comments, statements, and opinions, and let's have a good meeting. So before we get started, a few people to introduce. Jay Tusa, the TDC Executive Director, is back there in the back. We have Lieutenant Adam Falk with the Walton County Sheriff's Office, Lieutenant Johnny Jordan, Sheriff's Office, David Vaughn with South Walton Fire District. He's the Lifeguard Director. Sammy Sanchez is Fire Marshal for South Walton Fire District. Josh Irvin is our Beach Maintenance Manager. He handles all of our beach maintenance activities. Tricia Goff with Beach Code Enforcement. Melanie Walters with Beach Code Enforcement. They handle all the permitting activities and admin duties. Cliff Hollington is one of our officers. David Goodman's outside. I don't see anybody with the state park system or Turtle Watch here today, so I'll take over their parts for them. And let's get started. We do have a couple of new beach ambassadors that started last year. That's Cheryl Corsten and Kaylee Goodman. They're sitting over here, so you'll probably see them outside. And John Callens is also with our beach ambassador department. That's the ones that work for us. There's also a volunteer beach ambassador program that's out on the beach. You've probably seen some of them as well. I don't see anybody here from their group either. So once again, welcome. So beach operations handles all the stuff on the beach for the TDC. That's beach maintenance and beach code enforcement, as you're all aware of. We handle the permitting for vendors and for special events. South Walton Fire District handles the permitting for bonfires, and then Walton County Admin handles permitting for dogs and for drive on the beach permits. Typically by this time of year, we have gone through our beach-related code revision process. Unfortunately, this year we have not completed that process. We had a public workshop scheduled for yesterday. Unfortunately, this room got double booked and we got kicked out, and so that was rescheduled for the January 23rd at 9 a.m. I encourage everybody that is interested in beach-related code revisions to be there. There's a handful of items that are up for consideration. BCC has not given me any direction on which items they will select as being worthy of revision or not. So at that meeting is opportunity to offer input, additional input, and also gain a better understanding of what other people in the community may be thinking is worthy of revision. So that's on the 23rd. At that meeting, I expect that they will ask me to condense that information with the other information I have received and come back to the February 12th regular BCC meeting with a list of items or code sections, and then they will pick from that which ones they want to revise or think need revision, give my department and Walton County Legal Department direction to draft language associated with those revisions and schedule a public hearing. That public hearing would more than likely be 2 weeks later at it could be in conjunction with the next regular BCC meeting, or it could be a special meeting. But that is where there would be more discussion, but decisions would then be made to adopt those particular code revisions. So both those meetings need to be aware of when they happen. And if you are interested, be there at the meeting to make sure that your input can be expressed and taken in. Beach vending permitting process. So it's the same as it's been for the last couple of years. Trish and Melanie take all the applications in. The package that you have here has applications in it. It has the South Walton Turtle Watch texting program. It has the South Walton Fire District bonfire guidelines. It also has all the types of permit applications that we process. and a copy of the current code, and that's listed as ordinance 2018-15. Ordinance numbers are when the code was most recently revised. And so once it's revised as an ordinance number, it then becomes Walton County Municipal Code, chapter, in this case, chapter 22. Stepping back just a little bit, customary use, if everybody's aware of it, House Bill 631 preempted customary use, or chapter 23 customary use code, and changed the way things are done on the beach. It also, House Bill 631 also gave the county a roadmap to follow in order to reestablish customary use. And so instead of it being a county code that has been adopted by the county, it now has to go through the court systems to be determined judiciously. And so the next steps are that we, the county, adopt a customary use code, which they did at the November 3rd meeting, and then petition the court to review the customary use code and offer comment or adjudication on it as to its validity. At that same time, any affected property owners can intervene. Intervene is a legal term, as in they can enjoin themselves within that case, and they become part of the review that the judge will look at to determine if customary use applies to all of Walton County beaches or particular parcels of Walton County Beach or no parcels of Walton County Beach. So that's where we are. The Walton County has submitted the customary use code to the court. It has been assigned a case number and a judge, and that judge is now, as well as the affected Gulf property owners that desire to intervene have also done that. And so the court will now review all that information. We don't expect a immediate or soon resolution. It could be 3 months, 6 months, a year. We do expect that whatever the adjudication is, that there will probably be some challenges to that, and so it would go to the next court level, appellate court, state Supreme Court, and then more than likely it'll make its way to the U.S. Supreme Court. That's all, speculation on my part. Of course, I don't know what the courts are going to do or what other people will do if a ruling comes out in favor or not in favor of them. So that's where we are with customary use. Back to the beach vending permit process. Like I say, we'll start taking permit applications on Monday the 14th. Previously, we had stated we would wait till February 1st, but we'll go ahead and start taking them on the 14th. So everybody, read through what is required. It's easier if you submit all the required items at the first time. That way we can review it one time and then issue the permit. Last year we did make a change where we added a different type of permit, and that was for people that are really not placing a product on the beach, and we call it a service miscellaneous operations permit for like photographers and stuff. People like that will be considered low impact on the beach. So be aware of what type of vendor you are. If you're putting equipment or any types of goods or services on the beach or goods, then you're more than likely a regular vendor permit. And then if you're just a miscellaneous operations person, it's a reduced rate. And so just be aware of that. If you have any questions, Trish and Melanie, their numbers are in there. Everybody's contact numbers without my organization and other organizations are contained in this document as well. So be aware of that. As always, if you have a complaint, we require that you use our online complaint form. You can get through it through our website, visit southwalton.com, click on Beach Code Enforcement tile, and it takes you to a page that you can then open up this form, or you can simply go to southwaltoncodeenforcement.com, and it'll take you right to the complaint page. All those complaints go into a system. Helps us distribute them amongst code enforcement officers, as well as tabulate the information contained in that complaint, so we can have that as we put together our monthly reports and annual reports. All righty. So a few changes to code enforcement. Talked about the beach vending permit process. One change that will affect some of you this year is due to House Bill 631, we can no longer issue the preseason, postseason temporary drive on the beach permits to put equipment on the beach. We received cease and desist letters requesting or mandating that we, county officials, not drive across the property. That means beach maintenance, beach code enforcement, assignees, or anybody of Walton County. So legal department has handed down that we cannot issue drive on the beach permits for people to drive across private property. If you have a specific place permit and you have direct access onto the beach, then you can obtain a temporary drive on the beach permit for your trucks. Most of the people that have that situation have included in their permits ATVs or UTVs because they meet the 1,000-foot requirement to be able to use that. But so be aware of that change. I know it affects some of you, and some of you it affects in a big way. But I don't have any recourse on that. Legal department has handed down the interpretation, and we have to abide by it. That's pretty much it on beach vending permits. Is there any questions about permitting at this time? Seeing none, we'll move on to the different departments. Lieutenant Adam Falk will give a brief presentation on the Sheriff's Department and what they expect out of the vendors this season.
How's everyone doing today? As we've done in the years past, we're doing our zero tolerance operation as far as spring break concerned. Our biggest thing is safety, and safety for the visitors, the citizens, safety for you guys. We're here to make sure that everything runs smooth. That's what we want. If you guys have any issues at all, we want you to call us, not try to handle it yourself. Let us come out there and solve the issues for us so we can do it as peacefully as possible. That's our goal, and that's what we want to do. Now, no one here has any idea how the Hurricane Michael and how it's impacted Panama City, how much impact that's going to have on us. It may up our tourism here. I don't know. And I say that because, yes, their beaches are okay, but the way everything's advertised out there on the media and what have you is not okay over there. So I suspect there's going to be influx with us. So we obviously want to handle that accordingly. With our zero tolerance, all of you are aware that we're going to be out there in full force, and it's just what it is. We're not going to give anybody a break or anything. If they're out there doing what they're not supposed to, we are going to take them to jail. We've got this message passed out each year. We'll be sending letters out to the colleges and what the expectations are of them when they come down. We want them to come down here and have a good time, but we don't want them tearing everything up and causing problems for you guys. That's kind of what our goal is right now. If you have any questions for me, I'm more than happy to answer them. Lieutenant Johnny Jordan is new down here. He's going to be responsible for District 4, which is going to be from everything from 393 east to the Bay County line. I'm responsible for District 3, which is everything from 393 west to the county line. Our phone numbers are not listed in your contacts. If you wish to have our phone number and or email address, we can give that to you. Utilize that if you need something or have concerns or something needs explained to you or something we can help you out with. If you have an need immediate assistance, then please contact the dispatch office. That number is listed in there, which is 892-8111. That way they can get it assigned to a deputy and we can get it out there as quick as possible. Anyone have any questions? Okay.
Morning, everyone. My name is Sammy Sanchez. Can you hear me in the back? Such a quiet crowd. I'm not used to this. My name is Sammy Sanchez. I'm the fire marshal for South Walton Fire District, and I oversee all of the bonfire permitting. All right, there we go. So just a couple of things new for 2019. First of all, I want to thank everybody for a successful 2018. I usually gauge success not by the amount of bonfires that we permit, but by the amount of loud emails that I get from customers, vendors, and from Brian. And I can tell you last year I didn't get very many, which is always a plus because that tells me that you guys are doing it right, and that's all we ever ask is to do it right. Once again, bonfires we're one of the few areas, probably in all of Northwest Florida. I think Panama City Beach started doing it last year. I don't know at what capacity, but we're one of the few areas that allows bonfires. So I always tell everybody I hate to say this, but it's not a right to have a bonfire down there. It's more of a privilege here in South Walton. And as long as we continue to respect that and everything that goes along with it, we can continue to flourish in bonfires. I know a lot of vendors, that's their bread and butter. So if you like to eat like I do, we just got to keep following the rules. So with that said, thank you again for a good 2018 and look forward to a even more successful 2019. And just kind of give you a few stats about 2019. We issued 144 annual permits, and we issued 3,425 temporary permits. And the annual permits are people that actually own property on the beach. They still have to call us and let us know that they're having a beach bonfire. So that leads me to the next question. We get a lot of calls about, hey, why are you guys shutting down this access? Well, the long and short of it is we've designated some beach accesses that the reality is one bonfire is more than enough. And so we have that ability to say we're not going to issue more than that, because if we do, you're going to end up on private property, and that's going to cause legal issue for you, and it's going to cause us to get that nasty gram as well, and we're trying not to do that. But most of the time when we when we shut down a beach access altogether, that is not coming from us. That's coming from typically after Brian and I have discussed and we get some legal counseling, and they say you cannot issue bonfires there anymore. That's where that comes from. It doesn't come from us that, hey, we don't want to issue the permits here. It's typically mandated from a legal ruling. Walton County has said to us, you know, this is not Walton County property, it's private property, and you can no longer have it. So I appreciate your cooperation with that. I know last year we had a couple of them that we ended up having to shut down. Even with that, again, back to that number, we still issued 3,400 permits. So thank you for that. Last year I sat here and told you that we were in the process of going automated with our bonfire permitting, and we still are. We had some IT issues that I can't even begin to try to explain to you what happened, but it kind of put the bonfire automated online system on hold for a little bit. But what I can tell you that it's on trial basis right now. It's about to go live this week, maybe. You will not see it. We're still tweaking it, but hopefully when it's all said and done, you will be able to order a bonfire permit from the comfort of your home. So right now we are I mentioned the annual permits, and every year what Julie, and let me introduce Julie Clark. A lot of you probably talked to her online or on the phone. She's one of our customer service specialists, and the other one is Lori Brown. She's not here, but she'll be at the next meeting. I'll introduce you to her as well. But what they do is at the beginning of the year is they go through all the annual permits to ensure that that customer, one, still owns that property, and two, to make sure that they still want an annual permit. And what we find when we go through this is that people change their minds. So if you're used to having a bonfire at a private property and then you call us and we say, hey, you can't have it there anymore, it's typically because that customer doesn't want bonfires anymore, or that customer has sold that property. So those are the reasons. But right now we're in the process of going through that, and I think we found one yesterday that we realized is county property. So we're still trying to get a ruling on that as well. Let's see, what else? Couple of things, please. Julie and Lori work very, very hard. I know because I've sat there before I hired Julie and Lori, and I was so glad when they came on board. But one thing that is really time-consuming for them is when they get that late submittal at about 3:30, 4 o'clock. It's okay if you send in one, but if you send in 10 for the next day, That puts a burden on them because now they want to try to get them done before they go home. So just remember that you're probably not the only one requesting. So as soon as, and I know a lot of it is customer driven. I understand that part. But if you've already got 5 lined up for tomorrow and you're saving them for 4 o'clock, you're not doing us any favors. We would kindly ask that you submit those as soon as you get them so that they can get them processed. And then, does everybody in the room, are they receiving my emails when I send out? I typically don't send out emails to see how everybody's doing. I should. I apologize. But typically when I send out emails is because it's some very important information. And what I'm getting back is really nothing. There's a couple of you that will respond back and say thanks. And I just want to make sure that you are getting the emails because especially if we're shutting down for due to weather conditions, I want to make sure that you're receiving those. So if you're not receiving those emails, please get with me at the end of the day or call my office so we make sure that we have current email information from you. And if you need a list of all the current open beach accesses, call our office, speak to Julie or Lori, and they'll be more than happy to give that to you. And that number is 267-1307. That is the same number that you would call if you were trying to obtain a beach bonfire permit. Once again, that's 267-1307. That number can be found in our brochure, which leads me to the next thing. That brochure that we put together is a guideline for you and for the customer. Mostly for the customer that comes down here and has never had a bonfire on the beach before. But there is a section on there that we're starting to see a lot of. It's becoming an issue, and we're starting to get a lot of complaints on it, and we're trying to head it off before it becomes a huge issue. But that is the use of how you start your bonfires, the material being used. In the guideline, it says flammable and or combustible liquids shall not be utilized for fueling the bonfires. I know a lot of you probably use lighter fluid, tiki torch fluid, but that is what we're getting the complaints on. Again, I can tell you that it's not in the ordinance, but it's probably going to be addressed. So if you can start moving towards a different direction of how to lighting these bonfires, it's going to help us all at the end. And then let's see. And then I'll catch any questions at the end. I'm going to just try to move on here, please, if you don't mind. And then the last thing that I want to talk about is fireworks. I stand here every year in front of you, and I tell you that fireworks are still illegal. And guess what? 2019, they're still illegal. And I know you see them on the beach, and I can promise you if they're launching, if they're exploding, anything that goes boom is considered an illegal firework. It's Florida Statute 791. So if you have customers that are insistent on shooting off fireworks, please pull that statute up. Please call me. I'll be more than happy to get that statute for you. But it's a Florida state statute. It's not a Sammy Sanchez statute. It's not a South Walton Fire District. It's not a South Walton County or Walton County or TDC. It's a state statute. Anything that ignites or anything that goes boom, basically launches in the air, explodes, is considered an illegal firework. That also includes, for you vendors that do weddings, that also includes the sky lanterns. They look so pretty, I get it, but they're still considered an illegal firework because they're propelled by flame. The problem with those things is you don't know where they're going to land. The other thing is you don't know if they're going to go out. And it'll tell you on the packaging, may not go out. Well, that's not good enough for me. So they are an illegal firework, and we don't allow them as well. So keep that in mind. And that is the reason why typically on July 4th, we don't issue any permits for that day. Because the Sheriff's Department can tell you it's, I don't want to sound dramatic and call it a war zone down there, but I've been on the beach on July 4th at nighttime. And we did a joint undercover thing with the Sheriff's Department. It was brutal. Little girl spotted me 5 minutes on the beach. Mom, the cops are here. I'm like, how did she figure that out? But Anyway, we were going through the beach, confiscating illegal fireworks, and it's just, the sheriff's department would have to have really 100 men down there. They really would, and I just don't see that that's going to happen. That they have the manpower or the funding to do that, but that is the main reason why we don't issue bonfires on July 4th is because it's already chaotic on the beach, and we don't want to add to that. So I know a lot of you call and want bonfires on the beach on July 4th, but I'll be honest with you, until that changes, I don't see us opening that day back up. It's just too much. So I appreciate your cooperation with it. I know you probably lose money, and I apologize for that. But at the end, I'm responsible for the safety of everybody that's here in South Walton. That's my job. And I take that pretty serious. So with that said, I will open the floor up for any questions that you may have of me or of our district agency. Yes, ma'am. I'm so sorry. Sparklers. Yes, I'm sorry. Not only can I not see, I can't hear. Sparklers. Well, sparklers are considered a legal firework, but even those are somewhat dangerous. I'll get on my safety soapbox here. Sparklers get about 1,200 degrees. So the issue is that we give that to a kid, 7-year-old kid. And, I mean, who didn't grow up with a sparkler, right? We all did. I didn't know any better. But now that I do know better, we give the sparkler to kids. It's 1,200 degrees. They're running through the beach, and then they throw it down. Okay? Even after it's out, it's still very hot. And then another kid steps on it. So that's where the danger comes in. I'm not going to say that if you have sparklers that, you know, you're a dangerous person. I would just ask that you be very, very cautious with them, be very careful with them, and ensure that they're disposed of properly. And disposed of properly does not mean into the Gulf, buried in the sand, or in one of the TDC trash cans. But thank you. It's a good question. But the State Fire Marshal's Office terms that a legal firework. I think there was another question over here. Yes, ma'am. Yes. Yes. So that's a very good question. I apologize for not bringing that up. The online permitting will allow you to do it at whatever time, any day of the week. The way it's supposed to work, and I've seen it, is if you want to get access for, and you click on it, if it's available, you'll be able to permit it. If it's not available, that access won't pop up as available for you. So whether it's 8 o'clock on Monday morning or 8 o'clock on Sunday night, you'll still be able to log on and do those. So, any other questions? Well, once again, this is really from the very beginning when we started bonfires. It has changed. It has changed dramatically. And from the very first time that we started doing these beach vendor meetings that we're involved with it, I know there's a lot of questions. And every year I'd have to come in here and say, well, we can't do this anymore, we can't do that anymore. But I can tell you, again, as I mentioned in the beginning, the number of complaints, we'll just call it that, has been drastically reduced. And I think that's really because of you vendors that are out there doing it right, and you're following the rules, and that just makes my job easier and makes it easier for all of us. So once again, I thank you again for your patience and your cooperation and everything that we do. And if you have any questions whatsoever, please feel free to call our office. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is David Vaughn. I'm the Beach Safety Director for South Walton Fire District. I know a lot of you. I see some new faces. It's good to see you all. Had a really successful 2018 season. FYI, our mission is to prevent drownings. You guys are a part and parcel of that, and you've been very helpful and successful in being some of our eyes and ears. We don't expect you to go out there and do the water rescues. Some of you do. That's not on you. Don't call our guards directly. Don't call my office. Call 911. If you see something, it's better when in doubt, call it out, is the way that I put it. So you don't need to put yourself at risk. If you have guards or attendants who are trained and they want to take that upon themselves, we don't encourage that, but we've always appreciated it, and I know that it's been crucial at certain points. But that's not on you. Call 911. We had a really successful 2018 season. In this county, we had one fatal drowning after hours on an unguarded beach, and the neighbors to our east and west tallied up like 11, 4, and 2. And part of that is because you guys have been very helpful with that, so we appreciate that. Our season begins March 1st, goes to October 31st, and we will have some limited coverage in the off-season as well. So we're moving this next off-season into having some full-time year-round coverage. Our towers and roving locations, we have 13 ATVs that are going to be out there. We have 10 towers that are sponsored by the TDC, and we'd like to acknowledge and thank them for helping us grow and make this a safer environment, which takes some pressure off of you guys. We also have 2 towers at Sandestin and 2 at Rosemary. If you ever want to get a reference, we've made a map that is on our website, and it will give you locations down to where you can click directions to any of our stations, our towers, and where we keep things. So feel free to reference that. If you're not already on the text system to keep updated with the flags, it's you can text SAFETY to 31279, or you can visit South Walton to get that text number. My number is in here. Feel free to call me if you have any comments or concerns. With emergency responses, again, call 911. We do about half. It's a pretty even split now between water rescues and medical calls. We do get a lot of medical calls out there. What to expect, our response times are usually between 2 and 3 minutes to sometimes 5 to 7 minutes, depending on where we're at, because we are spread out. As you guys know, the regional beach accesses aren't uniformly distributed. That's where our locations are. We do the best we can with what we got. And again, we appreciate your help. The only other thing that I want to touch on right now, the ordinance, do keep in mind, we've only had one problem spot, but I just wanted to remind you guys, at the tower locations, we do have a 10-foot corridor, and we need you guys to keep that open from the water all the way back to the dune, and that's so that we can get out the back with our ATVs to get out and exit to make an emergency response, and also we don't need people sitting in front of our tower. So that applies to both the vendors and the public, and what we really would appreciate is if the vendors don't stack up your umbrellas within a foot of the tower. We've had that. That's been a little bit of a problem. The only other problem that I want to mention is Blue Mountain Beach has been a recurrent problem. And the problem with Blue Mountain Beach, and this is something that I want you to, anyone who's vending there, when you stand at the top of that boardwalk, the common person and even some of the educated locals, when you stand up there, any reasonable person's expectation is when you stand at the top of that boardwalk and you look over and you see the dune fence, and you see that dune fence, and you have some idea that there's private property over here and private property over there, that it goes like that. It doesn't. Make sure you understand the plat line. It goes like that. Rob, you're here. We've gone through this. Rob sets up on his property line, and he is fully within the right. So when you stand at the top of the boardwalk and you look down and you see his umbrellas right in front, and it looks like it's on public beach, it's not. It's on his private beach. Now, we've had a lot of problem with vendors moving our tower so that they can fit a few more on the vendor zone at Blue Mountain. And we've even had the ordinance revised to reflect that that is now a punishable offense. Yet it keeps happening. And it's not just one vendor. It's been every vendor. So owners of the vending companies, you guys are respondeat superior. You know better. If you're sending your new guys down there and they don't know better, we're going to be a little bit more difficult about it this year. We've been pretty cool and we've been nice about it. And it's really, otherwise, everywhere else on the beach in 26 miles, it's just Blue Mountain. But the owners of the private properties at Blue Mountain have given the sheriff a ton of grief, Brian a ton of grief, me a ton of grief, and really it's on you guys. Just help us out with Blue Mountain. That's it. That's the last problem spot I have to report. So other than that, we're going to have a great 2019. Anyone got any questions for me? All right. Thank you.
Okay, State Park Representative Matt Allen couldn't be here today, so I'm going to take his part. Vending operation on the state parks is the same as last year. Their policy is you can bring equipment to there to deliver to a person that is there, and you have to pick it up when they leave. So everybody be aware of that. South Walton Turtle Watch, Matt McGarry is the beach vendor representative, and he couldn't be here as well. So everybody, there is the texting program. I think most people are familiar with it. If you're new to the vending business, please read over that information. It's very easy. You enter yourself into the texting program, and then you get an alert or a message when they have cleared that certain section of the beach. That allows you to set up your equipment prior to the standard 7:30 a.m. setup time. In the absence of a text, it's 7:30 a.m. If you encounter a live or dead turtle, please contact Matt McGarrett. His phone number's in here first. If you can't get him, try Sharon Maxwell. In both cases, please contact Beach Operations Office, 267-4578, and leave a message if you can't talk to a representative, so that we'll be aware of it as well. That also is the same policy for an unmarked nest. If you encounter an unmarked nest, contact South Walton Turtle Watch, Matt McGarrett, on his phone number, as well as contact our office so that we can be aware of it too. Any questions about state parks or about South Walton Turtle Watch? Okay, appreciate it. John Callens is up next with our Beach Ambassador Program.
Good morning. My name is John Callens. I'm one of the TDC's Beach Ambassadors. A little bit about the program. The Board of County Commissioners mandated that a Beach Ambassador position be established back in 2009. The initial purpose of it was to help out with the Florida's Endangered Species Act and spreading that message along the beach and having the general public and everybody else respect that part of the state statute. That was in 2009. We fast forward into 2019. We now have 3 permanent beach ambassadors, and we're going to bring on 2 seasonals here this season to help out with that. Myself, I've got a hospitality background along with a little public safety background to go with that. We have Kaylee Goodman, who just recently graduated, who brings us a criminal justice background degree, and Cheryl Corsten, who also has a hospitality background along with being a former resort manager. So we got a lot of good experience with a blend of what our purpose is here in 2019, which is we wear a lot of hats. We're mainly information specialists out there on the beach. We'll tell people what's going on with the water, what's going on with the beach. If they're new to the area, we'll explain to them where the restaurants are, what vendors to ask about in anywhere as they want to enjoy on the beach. We're a little bit marketing. We're a little bit communications. We do a lot of things out there. So that's how much it's morphed in from 2009 to 2019 since that time. We also do a little passive enforcement with the ordinances and the statutes. We help code enforcement out in that regard. Passive enforcement means we try to get compliance on the beach without having to write the paper. If that becomes an issue, then we go on about our business and we spread our message down the beach and we let code enforcement take over from there. So that's pretty much our role in that. There's also another faction, a volunteer beach ambassador faction that got started around 2016. They do a great job at helping us out there with our job, and they're a good addition to us, and we're glad to see them out there as well. I'm going to take questions after the meeting's over for anybody that has questions for the Beach Ambassador Program. And I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Josh Irving, our Beach Maintenance Director.
Good morning. You all look tired. I'll see if I can't wake you up a little bit here. So as Brian indicated earlier, my name is Josh Irving. I'm the Beach Maintenance Manager here for the Tourist Development Council. We are soon to be a crew of 29, so we've grown quite a bit over recent years. When I first started 3 years ago, I think we had 12 employees, so kind of gives you an idea of how we've changed over recent years. 2018 was a good year for us, albeit some of the disruptive changes that was brought on by House Bill 631. Some of those changes, which I'm going to highlight here in a few moments, were basically related to our core operational function, which is trash collection and keeping the amenities clean and maintained. And so essentially what has happened along the beach is an effort to kind of keep us off of private property. When I say us as the county. And so we are unable to collect roughly 40% of the garbage from the beach. Those areas I will highlight here just so you all know exactly where those are. So from Paradise by the Sea to the eastern side of Deer Lake State Park is completely inaccessible via traditional methods. So in other words, we can't drive our vehicles on the beach. We are still collecting garbage from the neighborhood and regional beach accesses. However, we're having to walk down the boardwalks to collect that garbage. So you won't see our vehicles as much on the beach unless things change with House Bill 631 or our customary use declaration. The western end of Eastern Lake Road to the east side of Grayton State Park is another area. The west side of Grayton State Park to Blue Lake Road, the eastern side of Topsail State Park to Hilltop Drive, and then from Sand Trap Road to Geronimo Street. Those are the areas affected by House Bill 631. So again, that's roughly 40%. Unfortunately, that area there between Paradise by the Sea and let's see here, the western side of Grayton State Park to Blue Lake Road, those are areas where, you know, we have a few bag holders, but they're not as, I guess, affected as some of the other areas. But the western side of, my apologies, the western side of Eastern Lake Road to Watercolor, basically, I mean, that's a large section of beach that we are unable to collect garbage from, Seaside being one of those areas. So we would greatly, you know, allow you guys to help us in any way that you can collect some of that garbage. You know, that is a code requirement for you to remove the garbage from the areas where you vend. So we're definitely going to have to lean on you all this season to assist us with that. We do have our bag holders still at all of the neighborhood and regional beach accesses. So if you want to, you know, use those, definitely do so. One of the things that we have continued to experience problems with is bonfire debris in the bag holders. That was another change to the code. I believe it was last year where it made that unlawful. So if you guys are removing the bonfire debris from the beach, certainly do not put it in the bag holder for obvious reasons. Let's see what else I got here. Leave no trace. So that is something else that changed along with House Bill 631. We are no longer collecting abandoned items from from private beach, only from public beach access locations. So you're not going to see us remove those items on a daily basis. We're also no longer responding to holes on the beach complaints on private property. So only going to fill those holes on public beach. Other than that, pretty much everything else is the same. We do have a new employee with beach maintenance. Her name is Kenya Johnson. Unfortunately, she is not here today. She is undergoing some training. Our number at our office, if you want to write this down, if you do not have it, is 267-4578. We do have some changes to our phone system. We have an auto attendant, so when you call our number, you're no longer going to get someone directly. You'll actually have to go through the prompts. Option 2 is for code enforcement, and option 3 is for beach maintenance. That was done just to make sure that when you guys call, you get the person that you need to speak to and not have to be transferred several times. So that's about all I have for you. Y'all have any questions for me? Yes, sir.
Is that going to change this year with the trash pickup? You're still not anticipating the whole year 40% of users not being picked up?
Unfortunately, we really don't know. Right now, we're continuing with what's been presented. So
Are you reimbursing anybody any money that you're collecting now for trash pickup?
we are not, no, sir. Anybody else? Thank you for your time. Sure, we would too. We would too. So. Sure. Certainly unfortunate, and hopefully a resolution will be forthcoming here soon. Well, yeah, sure. Well, I would add, too, that, you know, while we are unable to get to 40% of our bag holders, the amount of effort that goes into collecting garbage from the top side of those accesses increases. So, you know, whereas it took one person, now it takes 2 or 3. So, you know, it's just an unfortunate situation. So, thank you.
Okay, in closing, appreciate everybody's time today. Let's have a good season. The last couple of seasons have been better than the seasons before as far as following the rules and regulations. I believe the basic public perception of vendors is improving, which is good for everybody. And so let's just have a good season. Is there any questions or comments here at the end of the meeting? Now it's time to ask questions. Yes, ma'am. New vending maps for vendor zones? Yes, we have those available. If you'd like one, contact Tricia and she'll be glad to send you one. Any other comments or questions this time? All right, everybody, appreciate it. Thanks.